All right, this is Mick Thornton with Project Evers, here with Rebecca Lewis-Pankratz, who is a poverty specialist, among other things, with ESSDACK. How are you today, Rebecca?
Hey, Mick, it's super good to be here on this day, so I'm excited.
Well, good. It is good to see you. This conversation is really designed for educators and districts who are in the process of creating educational plans for their students in a situation where there's been an extended school shutdown. So what I'd like to do, Rebecca, is if you could share a moment with us, just imagine a scenario where there's a room full of educators and they are trying to answer those questions. How do we educate our students for maybe even the remainder of the year with with them not being able to come to our schools? What do we do here? So if you could speak into that room, what would you offer today?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things that I would really encourage our leaders, teachers that are collaborating to figure out how are we going to best serve our kids and their families in this current reality. First, I would say, let's do a check-in. Each one of you in this room, let's just stop and let's just do a check-in. Am I showing up mad, sad, glad, or afraid today? What is my body doing right now? What part of my brain do I feel like I'm in right now? And just go around the room. And because oftentimes we bring our personal lives into these planning sessions, and that is okay. That is not a bad thing. And remember, resilience means I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. And we are being inundated and we are reacting to things that just seem ever shifting right now. And then, I think I would just really spend some time, not so much in what are we going to do on the following Monday when we're supposed to be instructing kids again. I think I would start to talk about the different types of families that we have in our districts, the different types of scenarios that are happening. Internet has become, a hot topic right now, and as it should be. But, I had somebody email me today, their husband just got put on a 4-week furlough, no pay. And so, what is that? And they're a middle-class family. Have a mom that is a housekeeper. Her daycare just said, we are closing daycare as of this Friday, and we are moving back to where my mom is in another state. She has no daycare, and she's a housekeeper. She's a single parent with a 2-year-old. And so I think we have all of these different scenarios happening. And then I would invite us to just start categorizing different families. And then for me, my middle kid is like, oh my gosh, I need a schedule. He will probably gobble up anything that teachers can put in front of him. And so you've got this type of learner over here. Then you got kids that are incredibly difficult to engage when they're in our buildings. And what are our parents going through? And when we think about trauma informed, it's so cool to watch how the universe has been bringing us a education and an awareness around our brains and our bodies and our stress response systems for a couple of years now. And they really brought it to the doorsteps of schools. And so we know this language. We know overactivated stress response systems. And when we think about the anatomy of trauma and toxic stress, trauma is a natural human experience. It happens from a car wreck to a loss of a loved one, to a divorce, to actual child abuse. Toxic stress is a little bit different because trauma is powerlessness and overwhelm. That's what activates our fight or flight response system. Toxic stress is powerlessness, overwhelm, and isolation. So I would just like to ask those in the room that are watching this, how many of those are you experiencing right now? And how many of those are our parents experiencing? And as we think about that anatomy, how do we counter powerlessness? Well, we counter that with power with. So we're asking and we're listening and we're responding to our families as they're trying to figure out how to support their kids' academic requirements right now. And then we have overwhelm, and we kind of power that or counter that with white space, which is, where's our parents' calm corner in their home? How are they going to go and get regulated when the stakes feel so high and there feels like this demand to educate our kids in our homes and the internet's not working and the baby's screaming and we just got another phone call from it, right? So where's their calm corner, their white space? And then of course, isolation in this current reality. Well, that one's easy. We do that through connection. And then I want to back us up, because folks that are watching this and sitting in this room right now, you are also parents. you are also experiencing this on a different level. Your mission is to educate with recommendations from your State Department, and we honor that mission. But where are you feeling powerlessness, overwhelmed, and isolated? And how can we create a co-regulation kind of community for you with your teachers, your fellow teachers and staff people every day, where you are checking in, you are seeing each other, you are hearing each other, you are with each other, and we are speaking hope and life and faith and connection into our processes. That's a long answer, huh, Meg?
It's a good answer. I really appreciate that. Talk a little bit. I really appreciate the fact that you started there with the place that people are in their own lives and in their own heads as decision makers. I think that's so important. So how do you translate that into priorities? You know, recognizing that there are, you know, really soon expecting some really good guidance coming down from, you know, from State Department of Ed and different places. How do you, if you're trying to make your list of, you know, recognizing that this is not a situation that's designed for productivity, so a lot of things are going to feel like they're not getting done. How do you establish your priorities if you have the opportunity to speak into that room? What do you say?
Again, I think we think about the different types of families and the different types of learners, and how do our parents have access to us or to our paraprofessionals to where we're looking at creating individual education experiences for each child that is in our district during this time. We've been talking about that for quite a while now. But if I have 3 kids, 2 are on the spectrum, one is absorb everything you give me a schedule, I will probably burn through stuff and get way far ahead. I'll be into 9th grade stuff already when I'm an 8th grader because that's who he is already. The other 2 really struggle. They're bright kids. So, you know, how do you work with me as a parent to help me to understand that it's all going to be okay, and that we're putting stuff in front of you? And if you've got it, you know, how do parents get connected to you to say, I am so overwhelmed right now, we didn't get anything done today? And we start to talk to parents and say, did you cook a meal today? You know, did you look at a recipe online with your kids? Buddy, I love you. I am on a recorded Zoom call. Can you give me just a few more minutes?
The oven's beeping.
The oven's beeping. Go find Jace. He will help you. I bet it's his cookies that he made. Okay, thank you. And just helping our families to understand the most critical thing that we need to be worrying about right now is safety for our children. Food and safety. And if our parents are stressed out and overwhelmed, the likelihood of adversity, trauma, abuse happening in our homes is very real. And so what is our agenda here? And where are we at on Maslow's right now? And I don't think it's just our poverty families that we need to be concerned about. You know, I lived in poverty for most of my life. I got out when I was 40 years old. And I would like to say that families in poverty know what to do right now. They know how to survive. Psychologically, they know this space. Our middle class families, who are very, very often very scheduled and task oriented, and they fill stuff up and they're overcommitted, right? We hear that in middle class, overcommitted. Like, and everything just stopped. So where's their psychological safety right now? I think for a room full of leaders, I would be looking at Maslow's. I'd go back to Maslow's and say, what are our first priorities? And I would start doing it off of our, you know, our need for food and shelter, and making sure that parents are getting good information. I saw something come through my email today that nobody can be evicted in Kansas right now. That just came out, that they're not turning off the electricity right now. And those are the kind of things that schools can be getting out there on their Facebook pages to families, right? Because if it's like, right now, they're not going to evict me, even though I just lost my income. Okay, right? And then prioritizing, if you've got 800 kids in your district and you have 80 teachers and about 80 paras, who's going to take which families and be that family's lifeline to communication, support, hand-holding? It's going to be okay. Johnny's having a meltdown. Don't even worry about school today. Just keep Johnny safe. Go play with Johnny, right? How are we going to divide our families up so there are support systems, adults co-regulating our parents as they try and get through this? And who is going to be caring for our staff as they are absorbing the shock of the parent stress as they co-regulate the parents, because that's secondary trauma, right?
Mm.
So those are my recommendations, Mick. I think it'll look different in every community, but I would invite you to understand that learning is a little higher up on the Maslow's. Paying attention to our seniors right now. As you guys know, if you've got a senior in your home, I've heard of many seniors that are just weeping because they don't know what to do with all of the energy of the last 12 years of their education experience. Prom is canceled, graduation is canceled, sports are canceled, my trip to Chicago with forensics is canceled. They've been building this energy up for a while, and they've got to figure out how to process all that. And so priorities to seniors, priorities to parents with multiple children, priorities to connection and relationships, and priorities to really, we are in a redesign phase in Kansas, priorities to really, you've got some latitude to do what is best for each child, however they can absorb it. And know that you're not alone, teachers. You're not alone. We are Americans. We're going to band together and do amazing things. Here's my kiddo. Yeah, he probably.
I don't know where he is.
You don't know where anybody is? Can you just go turn the oven off, push the off button for me?
Cancel?
Cancel. Yes, that'd be great. We live in the country in a 3-story farmhouse, and he can't find any humans. There's 7 of us here. Like, what? There's nobody? So yeah, Mick, I think that and I think daily check-ins with staff at the same time every day, daily check-ins with our kids, right? Really going to be important. So having something at 8 a.m. every day this happens, at 10 a.m. every day this happens, one thing even will reset our clock in our brain and keep us more regulated.
Oh, that's a good thought.
Fly out the window, and like, we don't know what time we're supposed to go to bed. We don't know what time we're supposed to get up. Like doing something for our staff that is the same every day at the same time. And it can be in a small.
That's really good advice.
But that is what will help keep us regulated, is one thing.
That's really good advice.
Lots
lots of water. Thank you.
Can I make some fries?
You may make some fries. Okay.
What can I do for a cookie?
You need to find a older brother to help you get the cookies out of the oven, please. Okay.
I got them out.
Well, honey, I need to look. Come here. I'm doing a Zoom meeting with somebody to help teachers. Can you go find Jace?
I don't know where he is, but I know Aiden's there.
Well, have Aiden help you. I bet he wants some fries. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how you edit that out of there, Mick, but.
I don't either, but I might try. But honestly, it's so good to see you working through your own process of because this is our new reality, right? How do we work and parent and educate and all this stuff in the same space at the same time? So I may just keep it in there, just
right.
by way of, So here you are. You're kind of on both ends of the spectrum, and that a lot of people come to you and want to talk about educational solutions en masse. And at the same time, you go home at the end of the day and you're a parent with kids in the house. So if you're stuffing one of those big manila folders right now with, curriculum and advice and different things that you're going to be sending one of those home with each kid, like, what is the thing that maybe on one end you want to write on the outside of that for those parents? And what's the other end that when you receive that as a parent that you would just love to see this note just for you with all this information? What do you say?
Well, as I'll just speak from a parent point of view, because I'm also in public education and I don't know what the right answer here is. But I will tell you what I want to see on that packet is on the outside of the packet is, hey, mom, dad, caregiver. The most important thing today is that you know that we care about you and we are here for you. And here's a personal cell phone number if you have questions.
Wow.
Right? Do not hand this packet to parents and go figure it out. Here's a personal cell phone number. We have divided this many kids onto this person. Please text. Please do not text after 8 p.m. I don't know what that looks like, but you are not alone. You are not alone. And then I think the next thing I want to see on there is if you are facing food insecurity, medicine insecurity, internet insecurity, please reach out to us immediately so we can start to find you resources. Inside this packet are amazing learning opportunities for your children that we have put together, because we know learning is important in this time period to keep some normalcy in our kids' lives. And this is not all encompassing for everything you have to have done in a day or a week with your kids. Start picking some things out of there and start emailing us about getting this individual plan of study done for your kids and what works for you and your family. I just think if districts have the power right now, we have the power, districts have the power to design and create, and there's a lot of latitude. So how do we give parents the ability to, the locus of control back to say, you know what, for me personally, I've got these 3 kinds of kids. I see for my 2 kids that struggle, us doing school for 2 hours every morning. For my other kid, I see him barreling through for 4 or 5 hours, right? But I am not going to deal with the toxic stress in my home of meltdowns and frustration, and I don't know how to help my kid with this packet. I'm just not going to do that right now. It is not important to me. And personally, if my children lose academic gains during this current reality, I'm okay with that. We'll deal with it on the other side.
That's well said. Thank you. What are, so you obviously work for a great organization at ESSDACK. Can you give any specific recommendations, maybe specific resources or anything that you're offering right now that these districts could tap into just for their own benefit or to pass on to their students?
Well, I think for our staff, I think for me, because of the seat that I sit in, I do poverty projects with the ministry, Youth Core Ministries, and we build poverty projects, and we have families, and we're working on how do we support those families with internet, food, medicine. How do we mobilize people and make sure they have what they need and give them good information about housing and electricity and all that stuff. But in this seat, I think right now, my biggest care is the resilience of our teachers and of our paras. I feel like that is, you know, how do we support our staff? Because they are all experiencing the information coming down from the State Department in a very different way right now. And none of it is right or wrong. I just want to say that again. If you are angry about this, or you are fearful, or you are excited, none of that is right or wrong. It is normal. Experience that energy, let it pass through you, listen to it, don't judge it. We at ESSDACK have coaching that we do virtually around energy for our staff, for teachers and administrators. Administrators, you're going to be caring for everybody else, and who the heck is caring for you? So we do energy culture coaching virtual, which I think is going to be a huge resource right now for our staff. You see that you have a staff person that's in distress. Well, let's get them a coaching session, right? To coach their energy so we can get them up out of level 1, 2, and 3 energy and up into level 5 and 6 energy, where they feel like, yeah, we've got this, we're together, we're getting a plan, right? And then the other thing I think too is we do resilience conversations. You can put this in, it's on Facebook, it's ESSDACK Resilience Team. You can get on there. We'll be doing resilience conversations twice a week on our Facebook page with experts from across the country. Short little things that teachers can get onto and get grounded. And we'll be talking about how do we experience this current reality, not how do we build a trauma-informed school that we're not in right now, right? Because I think we have to be real pertinent about what we're focusing on. And then I also think professional development, Mick, you know, you and I talked about what does trauma mean right now for our schools, and what professional development can they do together to unplug them from the demand of trying to educate kids and get them into this space where they're starting to encounter the psychology of what is happening right now, and they're collaborating around that. And I think, you know, professional development is going to be done over Zoom with chat rooms and moderators. And we will need to do some of that as well to help our people shoulder this mission.
That is well said. Thank you very much. I am Mick Thornton from Project Evers. This is Rebecca Lewis-Pankratz from ESSDACK, and we're here for you.
Yeah, we are.